Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show that's hosted by Unique Voices in Films and The Path of Consciousness. Today, my special guest is Maram Namou. Welcome, Maram.
Thank you.
Maram is a registered nurse with 17 years of experience in the healthcare industry. Her responsibilities include monitoring patients, providing treatments, and delivering care during emergencies. She holds a Bachelor's of Applied Science degree from Siena Heights University and is certified in basic life support. When she's not caring for patients, Maram enjoys cooking, cleaning, spending time with her family, and cherishing every moment with them. I can testify to that. Of course, as my cousin, I've seen you at work, and I love, one of the reasons I had you here today, I invited you, is because I just love how you juggle everything
Yes.
in a beautiful way. I know it's not easy. And I invited you because, right now with the holidays coming up, especially as a Chaldean mom, I think Chaldean moms tend to do double and triple the work as other people.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to get an idea of how you do everything and do it so well. But before we get into that, your interest and your passion obviously started before you got married and had kids.
Yes.
So, first of all, if you can tell us a little bit about your background and what made you become a nurse or desire to be so.
So when I came to America, it's kind of challenging because English is your second language, and I always wanted to be in the medical field. So when I came, I started working in assisted living as a caregiver, and I started like 3 months, and then they needed someone to pass medication, so they asked me if I can if I can help out. So they train you how to pass meds, and that's how I started. I loved it, and I always felt that's what I want to be in this uh, you know like environment. Um, so and yeah.
Well, what did you feel? I'm wondering, as a Chaldean woman, how has being Chaldean, given your background, how does that fit into what the role that you have right now?
So as a Chaldean, you know, there's a challenges when you come here. Like I did not know how to drive, and English was second language, so it's kind of make you just you want to learn more, you want to grow, you want to do something for your future, and yeah.
But we are, I
Well,
think, we're very family oriented, and
yes,
we take care. I know my mom lived with me the last 5 years
yes,
of her
yes,
life. And before she came, I was so terrified thinking, first of all, she was in a wheelchair and she had dementia.
yes,
So I thought, how am I going to do this? And my kids were younger at that
yes,
time. Um, then I found myself adjusting because
right,
we were so nurturing. And I remember one time there was, the physicians used to come to our
yes,
house.
yeah,
And there was this one particular physician that said, um, he looked at me and he said, "How do you Chaldeans do this? You take care of each other so well,
yes,
whether it's the elderly or the children." I really think that's just, I mean, I'm sure you learned all of this from your mom,
right,
just so share that family dynamics growing up that kind of, I feel like in our case, it kind of comes naturally.
right. We're like really close. Chaldean are close family. That's why, back home we all live together till you get married, then you move out. So here is just you just have, as long as you put your schedule, and then you do the things. We do them automatically. Like you gotta make sure, especially cooking. I have to cook every day, so I have to make sure I have cook since I have three little kids. Um, so yeah, you have to like kind of manage your life, your cooking. You gotta make sure you're taking care of your kids, just like you said, your mom. And with dementia, I've worked with dementia. It's a very hard job, and you just have to have you have to have a good heart, and you have to have a compassionate and love your job. And
Well,
yeah.
Maram, you're making it sound a little bit easy. So we want like the specifics. Like, how do you manage that? I know, like, recently you invited me and my sisters over.
Yeah.
And as Chaldean's mom do, they had you had all these foods, and then you were telling us, well, I did this yesterday, and I'm doing this tomorrow, and I got dizzy just listening to you. And there was one particular story that really touched me. I think that was what really made me feel like your story is very important and needs to be shared. But before we get to that,
Yes.
about that story that you shared about taking the day that you had to take your test,
Yes.
how do you manage all of that? And oftentimes, sometimes what I've noticed, I was talking to my sister yesterday, and we saw that some of the younger generation, they spend more energy complaining about the process
Yeah.
than doing it.
Yes.
And I observed that you were the opposite. You're just doing the process instead of complaining
Right.
about it.
Right. Yeah, I know. I talk to my kids and I tell them, nothing comes easy. You gotta work hard for it. Nothing comes easy. Like even when I went to my nursing, you hear a lot of people, and it happened with me, like they'll tell you, you can do, schooling. English is your second language. You have three kids, but you don't know what I can do. Like if you put something in your mind, you can do it. Like, how you said, like we invite, I invite you guys. I have to make sure within 2 days, and I have that only specific time when my daughter goes to sleep, because I have my little one. She goes to sleep, and that's the time that I have to run, and I try to a little note just to see what are the important thing that I need to buy. And like, let's say, I start with salad, then the food, I try to write it down, so make it easy for me to focus on these specific things.
Well, but still, the fact that you have, I mean, do you think it's part of your culture, your upbringing? Who would you credit for having that kind of discipline?
I'll be honest with you, it's just when you love something, you will work hard for it. Like I love, having you guys by me. So I want to make sure that we enjoy the time. Like I love doing nursing. So I work hard to reach my goal. So and I tell my kids, I said, you gotta work hard for it. Things they don't come easy. And here in America, I can say, I'm so proud to be here and I'm happy to be here because I did a lot of things. There's no way I would have done it in my country. Like when I did my classes prerequisite prior to my exam, I was going pregnant, like 9 months. There's no way I can do this in my country. So I love how they give you opportunity, to go to school when you're in your fort. Like I'm 43. I had some classmate with me. They were 55. One lady, she was 57, and I don't care about the age, honestly. I just want to reach my goal. And I tell people, don't worry about you're in your 30s. You're still young. So age, I don't look at the age. If you put the time into something that you want to, God will help you. And you're just going to put your mind to it. It's not going to come easy, but it's not impossible. Like you just have to put time into something that you love and trust in yourself. And just people that they told me before, you can't do nursing because you have three kids, you can't do nursing because English is your second language, how you gonna study, how these people, I love them because they like they kind of put me into work, and I was like, I'm gonna prove you
They
wrong.
pushed you.
They did push me.
Well, it sounds to me that you take something, even the negative, you
Yes.
take the positive and grow from it, but then
Right.
you also take the negative and turn it into a positive.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yes.
So,
Yes.
but you just mentioned something regarding, you said, if you believe, like God will help you, that your
Yes.
faith in God. So tell us how important that is in your life and how that has helped you through very trying situations.
I always ask God for to just to make things easy, and I'll be honest with you. There's some I had some like really bad days, and like one time I had exam now for my school. I had exam. It was Wednesday, and then Monday I said to study, and then school called me and they say, your daughter, she fall and then she broke her arm. They thought she broke her arm, so I went pick her up. I go to emergency, and then she did broke her arm. So they told me you have to go to the. I went to Beaumont and Troy, and they told me you have to go to the one in 13. So they told me, like you need. I had to do. They had to do chest X-ray. I mean, her arm was broken. It was arm X-ray, and then they told me she need to stay there till the next day. And I was praying not to stay like more than one day because It's not school, they don't care. You gotta be there to do the exam. They don't care where you are. So thank God they did the surgery while she's in surgery, and I'm here. And instead of praying, I mean, I pray a little bit, but instead of praying, I was studying. But I had some bad days. Like that day was hard for me because I had to pick her up. It was, I think, 2 o'clock. But then my other daughter comes at 4 o'clock from the bus, and I have my little one sleeping. Then you gotta really think fast. And my husband, he's at work, so I'm the only one. But there's like three more places need you. So I had to call my mom. My brother, brought my mom home, and then I had to do all this, going home, pick up my clothes, go to the, with her, sleep there, in the hospital. And the next day I had the exam.
Oh,
Yeah.
listening to you, it reminds me of stories I experienced.
Yeah.
I mean, I still experience with, my son before I left the house, texted me, are we going to have, what's for dinner?
Yes,
And can you
always.
take me here and there afterwards? And so I am also always, in my situation, it's been like I've been married 20 years, so
Yeah,
I've had
wow.
a longer time to kind
Yes.
of navigate. But I remember when it was earlier, sometimes it was very painful, like when you're pushed into, if you have deadlines and you're pushed into that corner and
Yes.
you really have a passion for what you're doing. So you're,
Right.
of course, you love your family and you love the work and you don't really want to let it go.
Right.
Um, and I, I give advice to women who are surrounded by women who are working to really extend a hand.
Right. Right. Yes.
I think a lot of time people are not, they don't see or understand how painful it is sometimes for us, and sometimes it's hard for us to ask for help
Yes.
because, again, Chaldean moms, there's so much
Yeah.
expected out of them. But you shared this difficult story, but then there's one that I think really tops it.
Which one?
The one that when you had to take the test,
Oh.
that one.
Oh. Okay. I remember. So this. Yes.
Yes,
So.
please share that story,
So
what
I
you had
had
to go
anatomy and
through.
physiology class, and my class. So it's kind of lab and with the lecture, and you cannot miss lab. It was exam. So that time I was due. I had actually it was like two problem in the same day. So I went to my class. It was lecture because they give you like a couple days lecture and you have lab. So I go there, and then I had exam that day, and my stomach was that big because it was my due date. So my teacher, she looked at me, and my face was big, and she was like, uh, "Madam, when is your due?" I say, "It's today." And I'm like laughing, and she's like staring at me. She think I'm crazy. She was like, "Is it really due?" Even a couple of my friends, they were with me. They say, "Yeah, yeah, it's today." I say, "Well, then what are you doing here?" I say, "Well, I have to finish my exam because I rather he isn't. The baby's in my stomach. That's easier. You don't need a baby sitting there. They're there." So I was like, let me just finish this exam because then you have to redo them, and I don't want to come back with 6 exams. So I did the exam. I had my bag in my car, so I go from school to to my my
Doctor or hospital?
to the hospital. Yeah, because they induced me that day. Yeah.
Yeah, that does kind of sound crazy, but
Yeah.
it's
But
a
then
good crazy.
it is good. Then remember, and I had lab the same week, so I emailed my teacher. I said I have. So I went. I think it was Wednesday. My exam, my other exam, it was this way you cannot miss. It was Friday, so I emailed her. I say I'm in the hospital delivering. So is there any way I can change? She was like, no, you're just gonna get zero. I'm telling you, they don't care. Even if you have an open heart surgery, you have to be there. And I said, okay, I'll do my best. I mean, what else I can do? So I thank God I deliver. I think I delivered. It was they kept me the day before after. Like they have to monitor you for 24 hours. It was so they induced me. It was the same day they induced me. The next day I had the baby. The next day I had to do the exam. So I keep telling my doctor I need to leave, and she keep asking me why you keep. I don't want to tell her I have exam. I just told her, I have exam to study for, because technically you cannot really drive. So I left the hospital. So as soon as I left the hospital, it was me and my husband. He took me to home, took my stuff, and I drove same day. I drove to my school. I don't know how I was walking. But I went there and I did my exam, and that was the next day. So, yeah, it was tough. But if you don't do the exam, I'll have to retake the whole thing, and it was 5 months. I said, I'm not doing this.
And with a new baby,
Yes,
you would have
yes.
had a
It's
new
just the
baby at
time.
that
For me,
time.
honestly, it was the time
Mm-hmm.
because I just wanted to do the. See, in the program, you have to do some prerequisite like anatomy, physiology, biology, psychology, philosophy. All these you have to finish them in order to go into the program. So that's why I did not want to do it. So, but I was, thank God I,
I mean,
I was,
Maram, honestly, when you were telling the story and looking at you and I'm thinking, my goodness, I mean, and you, even though we connect, but you don't, I hadn't heard this story before.
yes, yes,
I think because you do have a lot on your plate and then you just, from my sense, how you do things, you just move forward, you move forward.
right,
And here you are doing all of this and in the background there's some voices telling you, oh, you don't need to do this, why are you bothering, with
yes,
all that negativity, but you had that passion and the drive. And you mentioned something about your husband helping you
yes,
with packing. So what is that relationship like? I know that also Chaldean moms experience, I mean, like my husband, he's wonderful and supportive in some sense, but we
yes,
still live a fairly traditional lifestyle
right,
where he focuses on the work, and thank God, he's very good provider and all this, but they can only, given how much time that they commit to their work,
right,
can
right.
only be of so much help. And so is that typically the lifestyle that you lead? And then given that, then who do you, are you able to lean on your husband, or then are you then, if not, leaning on somebody else, whether siblings or what have you?
So men are different. I think we women we multitask.
Mm.
That's why
Mm-hmm.
I always say that's why God make us have babies. So my husband, he's a great supporter.
Mm-hmm.
Even with my school, he had to change his days because my clinical they were like 7 to 7, and he had to switch his days,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was actually like he keep telling me, you always wanted to do registered nurse. You always wanted to do. He really, yeah, helped me a lot. Make sure the kids, he pick them up, from the bus. Make sure he I make food before the day before, so he heat up the food, make sure they have everything.
So he supports based on his availability and how much he can,
Yes,
and changing his schedule. I mean, those are big things, and
yes,
probably too seeing how much you put in. I'm sure that helps.
yes, because every semester this is different. Every semester he has to switch two of you know days, and I'll be honest with you, going to work is totally different than going to school. You go to school 2 3 days, you go to clinical, you have to come home and you have to find a time to study. It's not like you go to work and come home and you're all done. Going to school is harder with the 3 kids. So that's why people they say, I have a kid, there's no way I can study, but no, you can. Like you have to put some effort. You have to get up. I've changed a lot of habits. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning studying, and like that's the way it is. You have to get up at 4 o'clock because there's no way for me I can study with the kids. I have three
Can't
kids.
focus,
It's
right?
you cannot really focus, especially nursing. You're working. Like that's people's life. So you have to make sure like everything, and it was tough program. It was not easy, but thank God I was able to finish it.
Well, we talk about your kids. You have three beautiful daughters,
Thank you.
and you've mentioned them a couple of times how you are working yourself around their schedule
Yes.
and all that. What do you see them gaining from watching their mom be such a super mom? Taking care of the house, um, taking care of her career, taking care of her husband, her family. And I have to say, you're a great hostess, not just, also, even to your in-laws and to your other side. Really, it's very inspiring. Sometimes, you know what, to me, what being inspiring means is that when somebody visits somebody like you,
Yes.
or even right now in our discussion, me as a mom, when I go home, I feel inspired by that. So rather than feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, I feel like, oh, I see there's other women doing similar things and they're
Right.
doing it beautifully, and I want to continue that for that
Yes.
sake.
Yes.
That's what I think it's so important, like moms like you to share their stories,
Yes.
because we do put a lot of emphasis on cooking, and I think cooking is so important in our
Yeah.
culture, and that's wonderful. But it's different from doing it for our household, but we have other passions. But and you have shown that you can juggle these passions, but the important thing long term, what are your daughters learning from watching their mom being who she is?
Like my oldest, she say, "Mom, you never sit. I never see you sitting."
Yeah.
My oldest. So you have to manage, like how I mentioned, like studying. If you, as a like mom, if you wanna study, you just have to change. Like me, 2 3 days, I will make food for 2 3 days. When I was going to school, I'll make grape leaf. You know how we're famous with the grape
Yeah.
leaf. So I'll make 3 pots. When I know, like I came from lecture, I know next week I'll have exam. So I know, this 2 days I don't have anything. So I'll make 3 big pots, put them in the fridge. So when I have exam, the pots is gonna come out. So it's easy. So I don't think now I have food, and I know all of my kids
So,
they love
but
it.
and what do you think your daughter, when they're watching you do this, what are the lessons that they're learning, even if you're not discussing it with them? What do you feel like they're picking up from watching you?
So I all they they what they think. They say, "Mom, like you always want us like to go to school. You always want me to have an A. Because I tell them, I say, you know, we're not gonna be with you the rest of our life. If I'm gone, I want to make sure that like you're good in school now. I always support them, and I always tell them things they don't come easy, and I always tell them you have to pick the right things. You have to make the right decision for yourself. And like I always talk to them and encourage them to be helpful to others, to love their friends, to be supportive, to others. So, but the way they look at me, they say, we can tell, you want to work in the hospital. You love taking care of patient. And even my little one, my daughter, she's the middle one. She's 8. I saw her the other day. She's watching CPR. She loves. And then
You're
the
rubbing
phone,
off on
she's
them.
turning, and I was like, "What are you watching?" She say, "No, I don't think, Mom, you're gonna let me watch." I say, "What are you watching?" So I saw it. There's a little like a baby. They're doing like CPR. And she
Oh
was like,
my
"Mom,
God.
I thought you might be mad." I say, "No, I'm not gonna be mad. I want you to learn these things. It's good, even as a mom, not as a nurse. As a mom, to me, everyone should know how to do CPR because, your baby. My kids choke when they were little, even before I did nursing. But I was, like I told you how she swallowed quarter,
Yes,
so
yes,
I had to help her.
yes.
So to me, I wish, like, and this is, I hope all the women, when they watch the show, all the women need to know how to do CPR because as a mom, you should know these because you can help your child. Yeah.
Yeah,
And instead of calling 911, they might take some time. So
longer.
yeah.
Yeah, so being a mom like you, it's not just about the having the career, but you are so interested in knowledge and learning. So
Yes.
like not your daughters are picking up on what to scroll through.
Yes.
I think that's what happens. It just happens naturally. They're not thinking like, "Oh, I got this from my mom," but it's just probably like a
Naturally.
natural
Yes.
process.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you tell people? By the way, I want to say earlier when you said about how you're able to do things like this here in America, and I try to tell people the same thing. I would not be able to do what I did. I've written books and made
Yes.
films
Yes.
that I'm able to choose the stories that I want and express myself and
Right.
still be a mom and get things out there. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. And I feel the same thing regarding work. We have like the kind of work ethics that we got from back home.
Right.
Uh, this is really experiencing the American dream as being just, it's not necessarily about the riches or anything like that, but it's living, pursuing the things that you love.
Yes.
And I've never met anybody that was able to succeed in getting what they want without working for it.
Yes.
Yes, the faith, of course, is very important and,
Right.
and everything else, but the work, and you're right now proving that because it's all the way you work. It's just the way you view work is different than others.
Right.
That's what it feels to me. You view it like you're passionate and you love it and you embrace it.
Yes.
That's what I sense watching you. But what advice would you give moms who are either wanting to pursue a career, pursuing it, or are juggling a career while raising kids? Because your youngest, how old is your youngest?
Now she's 3. When I did my
3.
program, she was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you were always, it seems like, involved from the beginning. Like you knew you wanted to pursue this. So
Yes.
you probably have a lot that you can offer advice for women who are trying to, even ones that don't have kids and trying to make those decisions as they navigate everything.
Right.
What advice would you give them?
A lot of people are, afraid. They'll say, I have kids. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. But you have to change your things. So, what I did is, while I'm washing dishes, I was listening to the lecture. You know how you don't waste your time. You have to put your time, you know, good. Like when I come from school, I was listening to their lecture while I'm doing dishes, while I'm cleaning, folding clothes. I don't really waste time. I was not going out. So all these, then you have to do it. Are you able not going out, not going to parties, not going out with your friends? Well, you gotta think this is something temporary. Then you're gonna reach your goal. It's not gonna be how you are. You're gonna be stressful for a couple of years, but then you're gonna reach your goal. So I've changed a lot. I've, used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to study. I was making food 2 to 3 days. I used to, like how we cut meat for like, I'll make like 100 pieces and then boil them, put them in a Ziploc every 15, 20 of them, just to know like when I come and make a soup or, like rice and soup, how we make. So I have, the meat ready because that's the, take more time. So you just have to change. And even our principal, she was very like tough. She was asking me, who's gonna watch your kids? How do you know? Because they want to have, their passing grade. They want it to be high. And she was asking me, English is your second language, and you're telling me you have 3 kids. So how are you gonna pass? How are you gonna do this? With who are you gonna, keep your kids? And I say, I have my husband. And she said, well, what about your husband can't do it? I say, well, I have my mom. She comes and help. So you have to change. As long as you have someone watching your kids, you can do it. You just have to get up in the morning early to study. And I have some days that I could not sleep. I have some days that I have to make a quick food just to eat. Like I'll just make a bread and a meat because I had, like some days, seriously, I was telling my husband, he was yelling at me. I said, you need to eat. I said, I don't have time to waste. I have exam tomorrow. And our nursing is not easy. They'll give you 10 chapters. You have to, each chapter is like 25 to 30 pages. You have to know all of it. So, that's the tough. And then English is my second language, so I have to know what's this, what's this disease. You have to know the diagnosis. You have to know the medication. What are the side effects? What are the adverse effects? Lab and all this. So you have really to know in each disease. You have to know what, with everything. So because this is, people's life. You're in the medical. You're not like engineer or, something like that. So it's not hard, but it's not impossible. And I feel we women, we can do it. So I always encourage people to do it. You gotta love, like, if you have to pick the thing that you love. I always love to do an RN, not because the money, because I can do other job. I still can do money, but you gotta love your job. You can't just go for your job. You're expecting, like I want to make a lot of money, but I don't like what I do. Then how you gonna enjoy? Because you spend so much time into work. A lot of people, they spend 40 hours working. You gotta love your job. And I've met people, they say, I'm here just for the paycheck. And I say, how you can do it? You really have to love your job. And
those are the people that I'm assuming is they feel stressed, they feel not happy about it.
Yes.
And this is makes a huge difference when you're emphasizing that.
Right.
I feel the same way. Like my job is not, it's sustained me, thank God. And God has given me the energy,
Yes.
and the needs, whatever I needed to create what I did.
Right.
But it wasn't the money that helped me do that.
Yes.
It really was the energy within me and the passion. I always found ways to
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
And when you're emphasizing that, I can see how when you are multitasking, if you are folding clothes and listening to this,
Yes.
and when you are washing dishes, because I do the same thing. I have my AirPods and I'm listening to audiobooks
Yes.
that help me, whether it's like for inspiration,
Right.
because I'm writing that genre, or whether even I'll put on documentaries
Yes.
that relate so I can get ideas. And that becomes so, it actually makes my day easier
Right.
because then I don't even feel like I'm doing the task that I'm doing it. So
Yes.
your perception, to me, it sounds just how you perceive. Well, first of all, your priorities are so good.
Yeah.
You have good priorities, but then the way you balance everything, it's really you do it in an art form. It's
Yeah.
I enjoy listening to this
Thank you.
very very much because I'm also feeling like maybe there should be more of Chaldean moms or just moms in general sharing this so it takes away the stress and
Yes.
then it brings it more to life like hey I do this too, oh okay I can do this, it's not that impossible,
Right.
and that way we can disconnect from the negative voices that sometimes take space in our heads.
Yes. 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 You're right. Yeah. And the language can help. Like when I work in assisted living or rehab, a lot of Chaldean elderly, they don't speak English. So it was a big help, to me and to them because like I translate. I speak, Assyrian. We had a lot of people from, like Palestine, from, Lebanese people. So make even the doctors, they say, how do you can, how do you speak all these language? I say, I did not go to school for them. Back home we were just watching TV. And even like Egyptian. So I tell them, like make the life easy when you know the language, and it help with, when it help, as a nurse and speak different languages, it helped. Like I went to Detroit, I was doing my clinical. We had a lot of, Arab people. It was no, they were all American. All the nurses were
Nobody
American.
can
I was
communicate
I
with
was the
them.
only one speak their language, and then I was doing there my clinical, and then my preceptor told me, they wanted to hire you, they want me there, but it was kind of far from me. It's it was like Detroit is like almost 45, 50 minute, and that was the only
Well, I
that's the
gotta
only
say
one.
too, there's a good note regarding like people that were born in Iraq.
Yes.
So the Iraqi, I did not know this until I was an interpreter for a little while, and
Right.
I learned that the Iraqi dialect, we can understand more Arab
Yes.
dialects than most of the other Arab countries.
Right.
Like we know Syrian, Lebanese,
Yes. Egyptian.
Egyptian,
Yep. Palestinian.
Kuwaiti,
Yes.
Palestinian.
Yes.
We can. They have a harder time knowing us,
To understand
and
us.
I think because we grew up with the TVs
Yes.
that were all different
Right.
programmings, and I know even I used to have people like Yemeni that I
Yes.
could, and their dialect is kind of
Is different.
difficult,
Yeah.
especially if they come from the villages.
Yeah.
And then I realized from my communication is that because Iraqis are able to
To multitask.
to
Yeah.
multitask,
Yes.
they have different, they can understand the different dialects.
Right.
So
Yes.
yeah, so that's a plus for patients, of course,
Yes.
especially in Michigan, that has the largest population of Arab Americans in the U.S.
That's
That's
true. Yeah.
a big plus that what you're doing is such a
Right.
blessing.
Right.
So, my last question to you is where do you see yourself moving forward with all of that you have already accomplished and your kids are still young? What does the future look like for you? What do you want to further achieve?
I wanna grow, and I wanna be a good, just to help our community. I feel like the languages that I know and my nursing, I would love to help others. Like let me give you example. Like in the delivery area, sometimes it's hard to bring a translator because like you need certain things to do. Let's say delivery area, you need to stop, push, don't do that. So it will be easy if I tell them and instead of bringing a translator. So there's like some areas, and make it hard for the patient. So I feel the language, since I have the language, I can help others. And I was thinking about like botox and filler, maybe. So there's nothing like in specific that I need to do, but I just want to be helpful to our community. And yeah, like, yes, I want to
Yeah,
grow more and more.
and it makes a big difference, I know, for them having
Yes.
somebody from the same background,
Right.
even especially like women having somebody from the same background be in the room with
Yes.
them and interpret and everything, they feel more
They feel
comfortable, they
more
feel
safe, yeah.
safer.
Like
Yeah,
some of
they
them, they
feel
don't like
safer.
males.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, they feel more comfortable. I think
right.
most people just connect with people of similar backgrounds,
Yes,
but
true.
especially many of them do have issues with language, and given that you can speak Chaldean and
Arabic,
Arabic and
Egyptian,
English and
English.
yeah, all these different
Yeah.
dialects. So, honestly, Maram, really, I've enjoyed this conversation because, again, I love to help women in different ways and help. Sometimes the only way you can help is inspire them, because
Yes.
it doesn't mean that I'm not into nursing,
Right, right.
you're not into like writing,
Yes.
but we have similar backgrounds and that we understand we are following our passions
Yes.
while we care so much about our families and raising our homes, and we care about our community,
Right, yeah.
and I think we care about our traditions. We could just kind of go somewhere and just lock everybody out
Right.
and say, you know what, I need to just focus on this and focus. But what I like about what you're doing, and I've kind of chosen that lifestyle as
Yes.
well, is that I don't want to lock everybody out. I
Yes.
love my in-laws and I love
You
my
love
own
your family.
family. I
Yes.
do love them,
Yes.
and I want to make that space for them. I want to enjoy that, but I want to do it in a healthy way so I'm not overwhelmed.
Right.
And those are the things that we're navigating.
Yes.
So I feel like when we have these kind of conversations, and more moms can come to the table and think like, yeah, you know what, let's pursue our dreams, but we
Yes.
don't have to feel like we have to leave anybody out. And
Right.
that's what your story represents for me, especially given that we're going into the holidays when we have to open our doors to
Yes,
everybody.
yes, for sure. It's the best time, Thanksgiving, like we always, like Christmas is always in my house, it's always my family, my in-laws. We really enjoy that time because here in America, everyone is busy. You don't really see them a lot. So we really enjoy, the company is like the whole day. I work like 2 3 days, we have like about 40 people with 3 kids. So I have to really manage, it, for this day. So you'll be 2 3 days cleaning, like and preparing, and then after. So it was like before, with, and
Like a whole,
after.
like weeks of
Cleaning, yes,
preparations,
preparation.
yes.
But it's like they're enjoyable moment. These moment, they don't, they come once a year, and then for Thanksgiving, Easter, these are beautiful,
It's the reward.
holidays.
Yes,
Yes,
it's the reward.
yeah.
So we're out of time now, but any last words that you want to leave us with?
I just wanna tell, especially this generation, just make the decision that if you love something, just work hard for it. Just remember, it's something temporary, and then God will help you through it. Just ask God, what's the best way for me. You're always gonna see signs. You're gonna have some signs around. You're gonna, like, you just have to work hard. It's not Nothing is gonna come easy. Like, nobody came and told me, like, I'm gonna study for you. No, I sit and study. But then, um, after I graduated, and like now, my life is different. So the way I think is, when you work hard, you're gonna see your future, ahead, and you're not gonna remember these bad moments, or you're gonna remember, yeah, it was stressful time, but then you said, what, I reached my goal and I'm happy. I'm happy the way, I am. And just don't tell people you are in a program because I did not tell anybody. I did not want to listen to anybody saying, oh, how, you can't do it. Nobody knows. It was only my husband, like my sister. Even my mom, she used to come and watch my kids. She thought I was working. I just did not want to, like, tell people I'm in a program just in case if I could
Wow,
not finish it.
so you protected your dream
Yeah.
as you were walking through it to keep away
Yes.
all
Yes.
the negative
Just
talk
because
and
I just don't want
energy.
to anybody, say how you gonna do it, or if
The
what if you
the
fail.
negative
Yes.
influences and
Yes.
everything like that. That was
So
pretty smart.
yeah. Yeah. So don't say anything till you reach your goal. You
Don't jump
just
the gun. Like, just
right.
take your time, be patient. And I feel like this is a very important part. We didn't mention this before, but it looks like you realized that you had to rely on your inner power.
Yes.
It's not about sometimes the advice, which I myself don't agree with either, about like telling people and
Yeah.
having like people cheering you on. I feel like our inner power is all we need.
Yes.
That inner commitment, the discipline
Right.
and our faith and just
Yes.
the people immediate to us.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
once you
Yeah.
start telling everybody, it becomes a conversation
Right.
more than doing. It becomes
Yes.
talking more than doing.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Just keep it to yourself. But I feel every woman can do. You don't believe like what we can do. There's some people there. We all were born gifted. You just have to find your gift and see how you can reach. Like how you can reach your goal. So I just tell them things they don't come easy. You're just gonna work hard for it, and you will see. You will see the future that coming to you. You just have to make sure that you're doing the right decision. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Maram. Thank you so much. I can
Thank
talk
you.
with you forever.
Thank you so
So
much.
I'll come over soon, or I'll have you come over
Yes,
to
for
continue
sure.
this conversation. But I know that whoever watched this really, I know, enjoyed this, and I'm sure benefited from this. Really, like, we have experienced similar. I know I'm older than you. I've been married for a longer time, but we've experienced the same thing in
Yes.
order for us to have a balance between our careers and our homes
Yeah.
and families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So
having me.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody for watching and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.